Show you fuck the hub off it.
All right, here we are. First Zoom call together since like 2 years ago, I think,
That
2022,
is true.
something
Yeah,
like
that
that.
is true. Technically, it's never been a Zoom call. We've done a lot of Instagram calls, but this is the first Zoom call. This is truly the Survivor Hub Games. Ask. Yeah.
Yeah, so nearly 2 years later, we're finally back. Season 26 Cast Assessment, 18 newbies. A lot of people to choose from this season. We've never had this many applicants before. We finally have a
Yeah.
9-9 split, male and female, which is great. Um, Lots of POCs on the cast as well, lots of diversity, which is great. So I'm really looking forward to this season. I'm excited to be back. I remember a couple months ago, I was like, oh, I never want to
What
do
the
this
fuck are
again.
you asking my ethnicity for?
Dude, I'm gonna have to cut that out.
Why? Why?
But, whatever. Okay. Anyways, we had
Fuck this hub
over
up.
40 applicants, I believe, around that range, and we only had to pick 18. So that means we cut a lot and a lot of people, but they will probably all be on future seasons, which is okay. So
Yeah.
today we are here to assess all 18 of our castaways. We have divided them into three tribes of six: Rayo, Kiwi, and Taimatsu. So yellow, blue, and gray. I think that's it, right?
Respectively. Yeah.
Yeah. So why not just hop right into it? I know you've got a lot of notes over there, a lot to talk about with these guys. And I'll just kind of follow up on it a little bit. But first person we have,
Were you gonna say a
yellow.
name? Were you gonna say a name, or was I gonna make some comments? Yeah, I can make some comments. I mean, you kind of
Yeah,
harped already a lot on it, but yeah, we have a lot of applicants this season, a whole lot. We for the first time ever, and we should have done this for a long time. I mean, we did a very bad job at branding our casting beforehand. Where we would do first come first serve basis, and it's a bit of a noob way of doing things. But we had the actual we took a page out of the DM team side, which they did this, and all the other games did it, not because they're a kiddie side of the fandom, but they actually know what they're doing. So they would have the actual Google Docs slash the Google Forms, and that was their way of organizing it. And we were super disorganized with that. We would ask like 3 or 4 questions through DMs, and it would be first come first serve basis. We branded casting a lot better this season. The questions were a lot more about them, and we got to know them a lot more on a human level, which kind of separates us from some of the other games, which it was a lot of game questions. So we got to know these players pretty well beforehand. We got a lot of applicants. I mean, we got a whole slew, and we left it open for a very long time. And it was very difficult choosing people. You know, we did prioritize diversity big time. You know, we cast most of the women that applied. But like as far as like the white males that applied, like we cut like a significant portion of them, because like that, like just generally that's the main demographic that we're having coming in. But yeah, it's a very diverse cast, and we had to cut a lot of people. Most of the people that applied we did cut, whereas in the past it was, you know, maybe we had alternates, but it was very rare that we were actually cutting people that applied. There weren't very many people to cut from, whereas with this season we cut most of them. So yeah, hopefully we can have a lot of them in the future. But I think that we were a little bit like we were thinking of doing hub reset at a certain point in time. We were thinking, you know, maybe we just hit the reset button and we start over. But due to the fact that we've hit a 2-year hiatus here, we're a little bit more confident now that we can continuously get more people to play. And I think that that was proof in the pudding for this season.
yeah, and like applications have not been the only thing that we've like revamped. We've had lots of new rules come into play for this season and for many
Talk about
seasons
that,
after
yeah.
that.
Talk
Yeah,
about that. It is the cast
yeah.
assessment. They're
So
gonna watch this
we've
after.
we've come up with a new rule that I don't think any game that I know has. So we've always had a rule in the past where, like, even if you don't pre-vote, it's fine, whatever. But from now on, you have to vote. Even if you don't show up to tribal council, you have to send a pre-vote. If you don't send a pre-vote at all, you're gone. You're ejected from the game. That's it. It's that simple. And yes, it's a little harsh, but it's so easy to just take 1 second out of your day to shoot us a DM. Who would you like to vote? Done. It's that easy because we can't go into tribal council having an uneven number of votes. Like if there's 6 people going to tribal council, we can't have 4 votes in total. We can't.
Yeah.
We need all six
And
votes.
we've branded ourselves very well for us bringing this back, coupled with the fact that they know so far in advance that they're on the cast, everyone's going to show up to the marooning. like we've set it up in a situation where they have so much time to maneuver around it. They're all going to be there. They're all going to be paying attention. We are going to act like complete douchebags on that call, emphasizing
Mm-hmm.
this, that you have to cast a vote. And we're probably gonna use analogies to throw in, like how like it doesn't matter the situation, you should be able to vote. We're gonna be a little harsh on them. We might say some things that are a little brash, but we're really trying to emphasize that season that it is the most disrespectful thing you can do in our game isn't being disrespectful with your peers, it's refusing to play.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing that's going to bother us more than anything. Because if you're a bigot, it's a bad social game. Whereas if you refuse to not play our game and not cast a vote when you're supposed to, big problem.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like willing votes is not allowed anymore as well. Like
Yeah.
that's not something that's allowed for us anymore. I think that was just a childish rule, to be honest, because if like obviously it's good social game if you could just rack up people's votes when they're not there. Like, but if someone ends up with 3 votes at a tribal council, like, come on. Like, we want everyone to send in their vote. Like, unless it's a serious like emergency, like personal, like physical, whatever it is, like, okay, we understand. But like like the chances of that are obviously very slim, but not zero. So for the time being, and I'm sure forever how many seasons we have left. That'll be the rule. And I also wanted to go back to the applications because, like you were saying, we asked a lot of like personal questions, like about them to get to know them more. And the issue we had, a lot of people answered the questions based on Survivor gameplay, and that's
Yeah.
ultimately what costed a lot of people a spot on this cast. And
Yeah.
like
Thanks for
we
bringing
made
that
it
up.
we made it very clear in the instructions that we wanted them to answer this based on their like personal values, personal beliefs, whatever it is. Like we didn't want anything about Survivor unless we asked a question about it. So I found that
It,
very important because that
yeah.
ultimately determined who we casted in some instances.
Yeah, it shocked them a little bit. I think it shocked some of them. Like that's what we were looking for. I mean, a lot of the other games, they weren't doing it. But the reason why we did that is because now they're going to be more invested. They're going to like us more as hosts, because we're getting to know them on a human level instead of just making it all game bot esque. We have a little bit of game and a little bit of personal. We want to get them know. And I think that we did a good job at picking this cast. I mean, I don't it's I think we did a good job at choosing who we wanted on, and we analyzed it a lot to try and figure out what the best move was, and it gave us a better idea of who these people truly are. So
Yeah. And we've got a lot of other rules that we're going to explain on the marooning because that is going to be quite a long marooning because we're obviously going to have a challenge. And then before that, both of us are going to be explaining stuff for, I'd say, at least 45, 50 minutes. Like, I mean, we have so much stuff to explain because we're not only explaining rules, like, we have like a background to explain to them because we've, like you said, 2 year hiatus. Like, I feel like it's only right to tell them why we've been gone for so long, what made us come back, the history of our franchise that most of them haven't seen because it's gone. It's gone. And that's exactly why I did all that stuff on this Instagram stories the other day, like posting like everything I had left to remember all the seasons we did in the past that was taken down because of stupid meta. But um yeah, I think it's very important to like let them know who we are because it's no like it's not hidden that we're a big franchise, you know? Like we've gone on for 25 seasons. We're a Zoom game, which is obviously the best type of survivor game to play because it's more realistic, it's more entertaining, like all that stuff. So I'm really excited. Like I'm buzzing to be back because this is something I love doing. I've already got all my stuff ready. I've made new pieces of parchment. I've got my marker. I've got everything ready, and it's gonna be awesome. I'm really excited to do this again, and I'm sure you feel
yeah,
the same way.
of course, I'm beyond excited. And the thing is with hub games is I'm a realist at heart more
Mhm.
than anything else. More of a realist than an optimist or a pessimist. No, I'm not referencing season 22 or whatever. I'm just saying that. But I really for the whole time, like after we lost it in season 25, I always wanted to bring it back. I mean, right after that happened, I was already making season 26 layouts. It's different. It changed a little bit over time, but um even right away, like I still wanted to bring it back. It's just that as as time went on and there was more time, and I got into the more of the corporate world, and that was taking up a lot of the time. I worked, yeah, one of the jobs was part-time. I did the trampoline park, but when I worked at the barista at the airport, especially when I worked in financial sales, that was a lot of hours for both of them, and there was a lot of time that was going away. Whereas before that, I was just a student. And those were the days, but obviously it was very childish. Yeah, I mean, just going to school in the morning and then just me hopping on the discords, and then running hub games in the evening. It's like once a lot of that happiness bull crap kind of goes away once you become an adult. So once I turned 18, I was like adulting a little bit more and taking things a little bit more seriously. But hub games was always in my heart, and I don't really care if people think it's childish. Preface, most of the people that are going to be playing are going to be younger than me for sure. So I just do it because I absolutely love it and I have a massive passion for it. And there's no specific age for these types of things. It doesn't matter. I mean, Curtis, he plays games. He's in his 30s, and no one's bothered by it. So it's a little bit like that, and like I'm very passionate about it. The reason why I'm phrasing it that way is because this is something that I see myself wanting to do on and on and on. This isn't going to be like it was before. We're not going to do 8 seasons a year. Like, that's not the reality. But we might do 4. It's very possible we'll do 4 a year. So I think that we like it enough in that sense, and it's something that we want it to be as much of a part of our life as we can. But we need to also make sure that we're stable in every other area where we can dedicate time to this and ultimately go all out.
Yeah, dude, this is honestly surreal because like 2 years ago, right? Like the account gets shut down, no motivation because I'd have to restart the account again. Like everything's gone. I made thousands of edits, and they all just get wiped. And that annoyed me. Like that annoyed me a lot. And I was just like, no motivation. And then like a few months after, I just realized like I needed to go out there. I needed to focus on school. Like about a year and a half from then, I'd be going to college. Like I was just starting my junior year in high school at the time, and I really locked in for 2 years. I'm heading to college this fall. Lots more free time. So if there's a time to bring hub games back, it's definitely now. For me at least. So I'm really looking
Hub
forward to
games,
this.
we're gonna get to the cast assessment, but like hub games was always genuinely in my heart. But especially once I started working at PMF and I was there for a year, as time went on, more and more and more, my thought process of hub games and the idea of bringing it back was pretty much dissipated. For the most part, didn't think about it much. But as I was accumulating more wealth doing that, and I was doing well for myself. It did kind of fall off near the end, but it was a period of time where I was doing quite well for myself. I was realizing like money doesn't change you; it just amplifies you. It doesn't actually change your core. Meaning, I missed hub games just as much whenever I would think about it. And it didn't cost anything to run, but that doesn't mean that it's any valuable to me than anything else. I mean, and that's what we saw in the promo before I released the amazing logo that the AI created. But I was kind of conveying that in just the scriptures leading up to it, is that your core doesn't change. And if you're actually genuinely passionate about something, like maybe it costs money, maybe it doesn't, but hub games is one of my favorite things that I've ever done. I mean, I haven't done a whole lot of traveling, but even when I was in Cuba for a week just on vacation, I'm completely in the infancy of traveling. It's something that I plan to do a lot, and I haven't done as much yet. I want to go on like 2 or 3 tropical vacations a year, but so I'm about to do that, but I haven't quite done it yet. But I remember when I was in Cuba, like the whole time I was there, like I was thinking about hub games so much. Like, this is so weird. What the hell? Like, why is this happening? Like, my mind was pretty. It wasn't preoccupied on work as much. I was still paying attention to what was happening, but yeah, it was a leisurely. I didn't think about work too much. But I was very surprised at how much I was thinking about hub games. Like, I was in this tropical setting. It was the first time I had experienced that in years, and I was thinking about hub games the whole time. I'm like, this is so bizarre. Like, why do I care so much about this? And when you travel, it does broaden the mind a little bit. That's ultimately where I was like, we got to bring this back. And it still took some time. I went on that trip. It was the beginning of April, so it was still a while before we actually brought it back. And Brady and I, had that exchange where we decided we were going to do it. But that's what ultimately lit the fire in me, where I was like, if I'm traveling, which is like considered like one of the best ways you can use your money, and I'm wanting to bring this back, yeah, God's speaking to me, that this has to happen. So we came here for the main purpose. We're getting a little bit carried away here, but the 18 of you on this cast, we're very excited. You guys are going to be seeing this after the season is over, and you're about to represent our first season back, and we're reigniting that passion, and we're very, very excited. And U18 are going to be the representation of that. So we do have a lot. There's a lot of pressure on you. I mean, we have high standards, but we're very happy to be back here.
Yeah, let's get it, dude. And to be exact, it is July 27th, so a Saturday, 11:40 p.m. So we are less than 3 days of a month shy of the season, or it might be 2 days. I don't know. The Marooning is looking like it's going to be on August 25th right now. So
Yeah. It's 4 weeks from now. It's still in a
yeah,
while there.
little less than a month. So not too far, but also pretty far. So we'll get there eventually, but we got a cast assessment to do. So I said we get started. So we'll start with the Rayo tribe. Like I said, 3 tribes of 6, three males, 3 females on each tribe. And yeah, we'll start off with the person at the top of this list. We have Corey. So I'm gonna let you start with this one because you really wanted him on the cast like more than most
Yeah.
of the
So
other people.
yeah. Yeah. So Corey was one of the few people I didn't have in my notes. So I'm gonna use. I'm pretty high on Corey though. I have him making it all the way to the end. He's one of the people that I think has a stronger chance of winning. Okay. So Corey, I'll just go through this a little bit. So yeah, I'll talk about why I wanted him on the casting. There wasn't much doubt in my mind to cast Corey. His application wasn't the best, but it's Corey.
Yeah.
Like he's played Zoom games. He played Insta Zoom, and I'm more familiar with him. I've played with him. So he's just kind of one of those people where it's like, because the main reason we wanted to hit the hub reset button was because we weren't sure if there was we thought there was no one else left to play, but because we waited a whole 2 years, we learned that like a lot of people are entering the pool. Not even Discord people. We didn't even have to go there. Like we have Instagram people still coming in, and we're going to be set for a while. And there's going to reach a point, maybe season 31, 32, 33, where it's like, okay, now we have to go to Discord for sure. Not saying we're not going to cast anyone from Discord, but at that point we need them. Whereas now we don't actually need them. We can still get people from this community, and there's still going to be many people that we can pick from. But I was already familiar with Corey. So Corey was like obvious. He's played Conquest. Hasn't he played Conquest? I think he's played Conquest. Yeah. I think he played one of the more recent seasons, and then he played Insta Zoom. So he was like a pretty obvious choice for me just for those reasons. So I'll read through this here. So McDonald's worker, it doesn't pay very well, and they do get a little bit of a bad rep. But they work their asses off. I mean, it's kind of one of those jobs that definitely needs to be unionized because like it's really low pay, but it's very hard. So and there's a lot of rude customers, and there's a lot going on. Yeah, so I have a lot of respect for that work.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I worked, even for a month. Like I worked as a barista at Starbucks at the airport, and I understand what that kind of feels like. Very, very hectic. And you're constantly moving, and there's no time to analyze how you feel. You're moving very, very quickly, doing all these orders. And when I worked as a barista at Starbucks, you can fuck up the orders a lot of the time. They'll come back, and you have to speed it up. McDonald's can be a little similar to that. So yeah, you have to make sure that you're always accountable. What motivated you to apply for this game? I was looking for an Insta Zoom game to play because it's been a really long time. So I'm looking forward to hopefully playing this game. So he already has experience, and he played Conquest, he's played Insta Zoom, so he already had that experience. He did okay. He went, like he made kind of the distance. So it wasn't really much of a question there. But the main reason why I was kind of like he wasn't like a for sure lock after we got the application was because, like you were talking about before, and this is one of the reasons why we cut a lot of people, is that he was talking a lot about game when the questions didn't align with that. So it just wasn't necessary. He was going in different directions, and it was a lot more about game. Yeah. What is your biggest personal achievement? Getting accepted into a great, and then he didn't say anything. Describe a time where you had to overcome a significant challenge, left it blank. So yeah, Corey was one of those people where I was easily going to make an exception for him because he's already had the experience. Yeah. How do you handle conflict with others? I tend to avoid conflict with others because usually I dodge being the issue. And when other people are the issue, I tend to passively get people against them, leading the charge to get them out of the game. Okay. Yeah, just a lot of game as a whole here. Just trying to see if there's anything that's outside of that. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like almost the whole application, it was just survivor, survivor, survivor. And we're starting with Corey, so those that are watching this might think that that's the direction that everyone took, but it's not the reality. Most of them we cut. Yeah, so when people were very open and genuine with us in the application, it made them much more of a lock on the cast for the whole thing, man. I'm taking a look at it right now. It's all game. well, uh, uh, yeah. All right. Well, how do you feel about Corey, man?
Well, see, I surprisingly didn't know Corey until he entered the casting pool. Like
I
I found
updated
out.
Brady a lot because Brady was gone for a while, so there's a lot of things I was updating him on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was not active in the fandom or anything like that for nearly 2 years. So Corey was, like I said, was somebody I did not know like before this application process like happened. And I saw like Conquest, I saw his cast reveal photo and all that stuff, his edit. I was like, oh, okay. So this guy's played a couple of Zoom games, Insta Zoom, like you said. Um, so I thought he may be a good fit for us. He has experience, like you said. Um, but yeah, I do have high expectations for Corey. If you have him in the end, yeah, I probably would too. Because I mean, I haven't seen anyone else on this cast really play Zoom games except for maybe a few people. So if there's anybody that's going to make it far to the game and that's familiar with the Zoom game, it's going to be Corey. The only the only thing was his application, and then he took forever to answer all of our messages in the application
Yeah.
process. So that he was the last person to send in a cast photo. So took him like
You
three
know,
days.
I
But
yeah, I mean, I don't have to necessarily be done here because I've said for the most part how I feel about him. But one of the reasons why I have him going so far is because, well, he is a Zoom player, meaning I think he's going to actually be dedicated and actually care. But he's also someone that no one is going to have a problem with. He's not annoying. I don't know if you thought maybe he'd be an annoying individual. He's not. He's a pretty chill dude,
mhm,
for the most part. So no one's really going to have a problem with him, and I think he could be someone who's good in challenges. So he's someone. The reason why I have him going so far is I could actually see him just winning a lot, and then just not really being much in danger. I think that I don't think he's going to be the biggest challenge beast in the sense where he's the most confident, but I'm going to make a prediction right now. I do think that some other bigger physical threats might get voted out earlier on than usual. And my prediction is Corey is going to win the most individual immunity wins this season. Just prediction.
see that honestly, because like, and that's another thing. We've come up with a lot of new challenges this season. Like
Very
we took
physical. Yeah, very physical
yeah
challenges.
there's a lot of endurance based challenges and we planned these very very carefully, like we didn't want it to be basic like emoji challenges or anything. Like we wanted it to be more of a Zoom style challenge, like something you can actually use your camera for. So um I'm excited to see not just how Corey does in these challenges but how every player does, because it's going to be a test. Like this is going to be something that not many people are used to, right? Like it's going to be tough. Like we want to make it realistic. So
Yeah, the cotton
um,
swab challenge. What's that? Yeah, I'm like, okay, okay, that's more Brady. You guys are watching this after the season, but yeah, I obviously we haven't seen that play out. I mean, like yeah, that's still tangible though, right? Like everyone will be able to do it. Yeah.
yeah, but back to Corey. See, like I don't even I'm not gonna have much to say about many of these players because like I haven't assessed them or analyzed them as much as you have because you obviously have notes. You've looked at their
Piggyback, yeah, just
applicate.
piggyback off of me. Yeah.
Yeah, you've looked at their applications more than I have. My real job here, like, of course, I have a say in like all this stuff, but like, my main job is to host. Like, we all know that. Like, that's mainly what I'm excited for. But I'm looking forward to seeing Corey
I'm the
play.
casting producer. I'm a tyrant in this game, right, Brady? Right.
Yeah, you're irrelevant in any other circumstance.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's he's always rubbing it in that he created the layout for season 16.
Our best. But let's move on to the next person, shall we? I think that's a
Okay.
I think that's a good. Okay, so
Yeah.
Next up, we have Benji, the only thing I know about him is that he is British. So I you take it away here. I'll follow up on you.
That's funny. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I'll talk a little bit about it. So, that's the first. That's the first note I have here is from the UK, which could create a bit of a time zone discrepancy. And we've
Mhm.
seen that before, but there's been a lot of players that have been able to make it work out. I mean, Marco Foster, he's usually been okay with it.
Milo as well,
Oh,
who literally
what's
won
her
a
name?
season.
Oh yeah, Freya. I was also gonna, yeah, Milo. There is Milo, but there's also Freya. I think that France and the UK are relatively close to each other. But
Mhm.
Freya, like I remember her being relatively active. I don't remember us complaining too much about her activity. We brought
She
her
was pretty
back, so
active, yeah.
clearly we weren't. Yeah, we weren't annoyed by anything because we did bring her back. He said he was DM motivated to apply. I love the honesty, and there was quite a few people that were saying that. The reason why I applied is because you told me to. However, it really depended on the person because, like Noah Bank, for example, when he applied, I was like, oh, for sure we're going to cast him, but he just wasn't as enthusiastic about it as a whole. Like he's just saying, oh, I'm just applying because you told me to. There was a bit of a lack of enthusiasm, and that's something that we harped on. We're not at Brogan just yet. We'll get to Brogan when we're there. But what I loved about Brogan so much was because of how enthusiastic he was in the application, and that helps. I mean, it's going to help your odds. And if you're just kind of not even sluggish, just we can tell. And if it's reading through your personality, like we're going to know how excited you are to play. And that's like one of the number one things that's important to us is how excited you are to play, because that's going to translate to everything else. That optimism is going to translate to activity, dedication, and it's just more likely that you're going to perform. So yeah, it's more important to us. Okay, what else here? So he struggled with anxiety and autism. I feel like I'm on the autistic spectrum, as not everyone may know. I've been a little bit more vocal about it as of late, or now like everyone kind of knows. I feel like, and I've had people tell me that, like, because I really want to get on the real show. I've had people tell me like, oh, that's your main cell. But something I've come to the realization of is that so many people think that exact same way. And we saw with Big Brother US, Ian Terry, like he won the show and he was very open about his autism. But on the actual show Survivor, of course, there has been people who've been on the autistic spectrum, but no one has been open about it. So there's a few that have definitely had it, but they've never actually used it or it's been talked about in confessionals.
Mhm.
So that's something that I think a lot of people think that it's unique to them. But the reality is there was a lot of people in the app, I'm not going to say names, but there was a lot of people in the application process that did say, my struggle is that I was diagnosed with anxiety, depression, or autism, and I persevered through that. There was actually a lot of people that were saying that, and we didn't necessarily put them in a niche necessarily. I just think that Benji was very concise and compendious in explaining it, so he was more of a lock in that regard. But I'm always very intrigued to seeing those types of people play these games. I think they should be very welcome to play these games because it puts
Mhm.
them in a social circle where they can ultimately test themselves. It really depends on the severity. Like if you're as high functioning as I am, then it's not as much of an issue. But you need to prove that because you basically need to set yourself up in a situation. Now, some people are super loud and out and proud about it, and some people they just keep it behind closed doors. So it's a matter of proving yourself to everybody else versus just proving it to yourself that you can do this. And this is a good outlet for that because I don't know how many games Benji has played. I don't know how intricate he's been in a whole bunch of different games. This is a really good game to test himself because I don't know what other games he's played that can test him socially in that regard, which is why I'm very, very open to seeing people like that play. And I think that Benji was a little bit better and more charismatic at talking about it than some of the other people were that applied that said the exact same thing. Won't be saying names. But I think that Benji's someone I'm just a little bit more curious to play rather than some other people that are in that category. But it's not a matter of the archetype or anything. It's just we were more impressed by Benji, and it was hard to pick people. And Benji wasn't even an automatic lock too. Like he was one of the lower picks. Um, but yeah, some other stuff here. His favorite player of all time is Kim Spradlin. I think he was talking more about gameplay and not about personality. I think Kim Spradlin's pretty boring. honestly, for the most part. But I think she's one of the best players ever. I mean, One World. I mean, who's better than Kim, right? Like Tony, okay, fine, but other than Kim, who else is better? Lucina, Parvati, Sari, maybe.
Nah.
Jeremy? Like, no, I don't. I think Kim's one of the best ever. She's dominated in One World. It was quite frankly embarrassing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, maybe that means Benji wants to play like Kim. And I kind of had the vibe at first that Benji was going to be this massive game bot. You know, that was the first thought process that I had. But I do think he's a little bit more nonchalant than that. And he said that he was going to play a relatively honest game. Um, so yeah, he said he would play a very honest game. And originally, I did think that he was going to be someone that was going to be a bit more of a game bot. But based off of reading the answers, I think that he's going to be relatively honest. I don't know. A lot of people, they say that and they don't actually stick with it. We saw Mike Turner in Survivor 42. He wasn't. He said he would play a very honest game, and he didn't really do it. So I guess we'll have to see. But if someone says that they're going to be an honest player, sometimes I'll just take their word for it. He said he hates lying cunts. All right, there's a lot of people are going to be lying to you, so you're just going to have to deal with that. Because that was one of the questions, and it was a question that I really liked. Is like, what are the types of personalities that you do coexist with, and then who are some people that you just don't? So it's we like to hear that, and I think we got some pretty interesting answers. I was happy with the answers we got for the most part. For Benji, for the most part, I'm relatively high on him. I think he's going to be a threat. But I think that people are going to view him as a relatively big threat to win, coupled with the fact that I think that he's going to reach a certain point in the game where people aren't going to trust him that much. And I have him kind of middle of the pack. I have him 8th place, 4th member of the jury.
I mean, yeah, that's a good pick, honestly. Because here, I guess I'll jump in here, but back to what you were saying about like the autistic spectrum and stuff. Like obviously, like I'm not like on the spectrum or anything, so like I can't like speak as if I was, but I am excited to like see how he deals with that like in the game. Like I know it may not be like as serious because it's an online game, it's a Zoom game, but like it still can be a test in some instances. So I think it's good to have people that are like on that spectrum or whatever on the cast.
Yeah,
Because
use the
like
term neurotypical. Neurotypical would be the term there.
yeah, I guess. But I mean, I'm excited though. Like cuz that's something that like people aren't as open about, right? And that's not a question that we've like there's not a question that we've asked in the past that would somehow connect to someone opening up about that, right? So like maybe we've had people in the past that have played hub games that have been on the spectrum that we don't know about. And I think Benji's like the first person that I've seen or that has played hub games that like I've known is on the spectrum. So I'm interested to see how he copes like in the game because I'm gonna be like keeping a close eye on that because I think that's like I think that'll be a test, but I think he can handle it well. And like you said, he aspires Kim Spradlin or whatever you want to say. But if he plays like Kim, I think that would be very unique. I think he could get far in the game. I think his threat level will be high, but like you were saying, I think the time zone may affect that quite a bit. Britain is what 5 hours ahead of Eastern time, so I don't know how that will work, especially if the calls are late. But if he's willing to stay up late for that, perfect. He's set. But yeah, I'm excited to see Benji play. I have no idea who this guy is though. Uh, I'm looking forward to it. Like I'm excited to see everyone in this cast because like I was so set on like the fact that we were not going to have anyone like apply for this game. And look at this, we had over 40 new people apply. Like it's fucking crazy.
Well,
So
a lot of people got in our head. I'm not. We're not going to name names here, but there were a few people who didn't believe in us to get applicants. So
yeah,
yeah, it
yeah,
was nice to
and
prove them wrong.
yeah, you know who you are. And if you end up watching this video, you know who you are. You doubted
Oh,
us.
he knows. He knows. Yeah. So
Well,
yeah. Well,
anyways,
yeah. We were about to move on, but yeah, I would say that like Benji, he's like I said before. Like I'm not going to say names, but there were quite a few people who said that they were on the autistic spectrum that applied.
Hmm.
It's just that with some of the other people, it was like, you're telling me how you've suffered without proving to me that you'd even be a good player. Whereas with Benji, it kind of gave me more of the charismatic vibe that he's like, I have anxiety, I have autism. That doesn't matter. I'm going to prove myself in this game. Of course, that doesn't mean that he's going to blurt it out at FTC. That's also to another point, which is maybe people are going to be more open this season, with everybody. I mean,
Hmm.
most of our seasons, it's like, hey, how are you? Good morning. Maybe a little bit of social banter, but there isn't very much personal conversation. It would be interesting if either at FTC or just one-on-one conversations as a whole became a lot more deep. And with these smaller tribes and with us having more off days and with there being summits and intermingling within tribes without a tribe swap, you guys are watching this after the season, we didn't do a tribe swap. So you're with these small tribes, there's not very many people, there's more potential to build really solid bonds. I mean, we saw that in Striver 42. The Taku 4, they were very bonded with one another because they were just with each other that whole time. And they can branch out after that, of course, but it might help with the social bonds within the game. And Benji's going to be tested in that regard, and I think he's going to come through. I don't see him going pre-merge. No.
No, no chance.
This cast, no.
I mean, he's probably one of the best players on this cast, if I'm being honest.
Probably.
Like, I'm saying that like not knowing much about him, but like from what I've heard and from what I'm hearing from you and from his application, it just seems like he can make it far in the game, and you predicted that. So we'll see how it goes. Anyways, I guess we can move on to the next person now. I'll start this off, by the way, because I actually want to talk about this person. We have Daniel LeBoy. So I want to start this off because Daniel was very enthusiastic in the application process. One of our very first applicants. I'm pretty sure he was the third person that applied to this game, but um, his application was decent. It wasn't bad, but in DMs and stuff, I was messaging him, like getting all the stuff I need from him. He was very enthusiastic. I let him know that he was casted. He was hyped. He was really excited, and we were like seriously contemplating cutting Daniel at some points, right? And we ended up casting him, and I'm excited to see how he plays because I've never seen this guy. His at is mtv.danilo, so I have no idea if he plays like challenge games or not. I have no idea, but this is another person that I have no clue who he is. But if someone's that ecstatic, it can mean two things here. Like it can either mean that they'll go out pre-merge or first boot, or it can mean that they're just like undercover insane player. Like I don't know what to expect from Daniel, if I'm being honest. I can see this guy going pre-merge like super early, but I can also see him making it very far. Um, yeah, I love it when people are ecstatic to play because like that's what you want as a host, like that's somebody that will be like dedicated, that will be active, all that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited to see this guy play, but I'll hand it over to you now.
Yeah, I think I have a lot to say because I did write notes, and I think that
Mhm.
this guy, one big thing that I've noticed, and this I think is going to hurt him. He has, not arrogant, but he has a big ego. Like we're seeing that in the application, and I'm actually not entirely sure why we were considering cutting him. I think I was honestly a bit delusional when I was casting because like when I read it over again, I was like, this guy should have been a clear lock. Like I don't know why my brain was working that way, but like we almost cut him, and now I'm looking at it again, and I'm like, yeah, he should have been a complete lock. I don't know what I was snorting, but yeah, so looking at it as a whole, a lot of confidence and a lot of enthusiasm. So one of the first things he says is, I'm absolutely hyped, and I really want to get into this and make my name known in a big ass Survivor game, getting on the DVD cover. And I was like, hell yeah, hell
Hell
yeah,
yeah, brother. That's what we want to
that's
hear.
yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. So it was a very authentic and very exciting opener. Um, Okay, so yeah, and then obviously, like he was a bit more personal after that, so the enthusiasm obviously went home. He said he lost his mother very, very recently.
Mm.
Um, that's absolutely that's brutal. Like and it's
Yeah,
very recent and it's raw, and
devastating.
it takes a while to get over something like that. So
Not just a while. That takes like very long time. Obviously like I can't like relate to that, but like I can imagine that would take long time to recover from because that's your
you
mother,
don't you,
right?
you don't. I mean, it takes
Yeah.
you really don't because you're always going to be thinking about her. Yeah. If you're spiritual and you believe in heaven, like you're going to be excited your whole life, even though you're going to be obviously living leading up to that point. But you're going to if you are religious and you believe in heaven, like you're going to be excited to the potential possibility of seeing her again. And my grandmother who passed away in '08, so I was only 4 years old. I don't remember her very well, but I do remember her last birthday. It was the 75th birthday. She passed away from lung cancer, and this was in
Mhm.
'08, so it was when I was 4 years old. Um, and her birthday was today, and my uncle, one of my uncles and my dad, they both put up Facebook posts honoring her. And I was looking at this like this was a very long time ago, like very very long time ago. Like she passed away in '08, so it's been 16 years, but still always thinking about it. It's mother. You're still always thinking about it. So this is very very raw. I mean, I'm talking 16 years ago. You know, like they're still putting up Facebook posts. You're never going to forget. It's your mother. And this is very raw for him. So yeah, it's very difficult for that to happen at such a young age. I don't know how old Daniel is, but he looks really young.
Yeah.
Yeah. So um what else here? So he said that his main strategy is to make friends and talk to the jury. I don't know what he means by that. I think the FTC, I guess, talk to the jury. To talk
Yeah,
to the jury.
I think he was just nonchalantly saying that he's going to make it to the end and talk to the jury at final tribal council.
He literally said, "My strategy: I'm gonna make friends and talk to the jury." Oh, okay, that's funny. Um, yeah, but like I'm not saying subconsciously he has an ego or anything. Like he's also a wrestler, So coupled with a
Mhm.
lot of the other things that he said, he's also a wrestler. He does that very competitively. Um, so there's that he does. I think that's one of his main hobbies. This is interesting. He didn't say he was depressed. He didn't say he was having a hard time with anything. Obviously he did lose his mother, but it's possible that other than that, he's lived a very stable life for the most part, where something monumentally destructive happened to him. But it is possible that in other areas he's relatively mentally stable. Of course, I don't know. I'm not assuming. I'm not saying anything. But he said in the application, people tell him he needs therapy, but I don't think I need therapy. And that hit me. That hit me really hard because first off, no one knows you. They don't actually know what you're going through. They don't know everything. They can't assume how stable you are versus how unstable you are. And also,
Yeah,
no one really
absolutely.
knows you. They like a lot of the time people are depressed because they're just early in the process. Now, for all intents and purposes, if you're not doing anything and you're lost and you have no clue where you're going, and you have no guidance, and some of the mandatory pillars that kind of keep someone sane, they're not set up properly. In that situation, you're going to be depressed. But if you're just early in the process and you're very ambitious, but you haven't done as much yet and you haven't accomplished as much yet, but you're on the come up and you're maybe sacrificing other areas of your life, fun, friends, etc. And you're just kind of on the come up, you're being ambitious in that regard. It can be lonely at points, and people can sometimes subconsciously believe that you need therapy. Maybe they think you're lost, maybe they don't know where you're going, but it kind of stood out to me. I don't know. Like he said, people tell me I need therapy, but he never once said I need therapy. It's like
Yeah, and like
he's not even like giving them any acknowledgement. It was just
yeah,
the
and
way he
like
said it.
no one will ever like know like unless you tell them like what you're going through. Like that's big. Like I don't like it when people just assume like they know what's going on in your life like that. But I mean, as long as he knows that he's okay, like that's what matters. Like yeah, some people's opinions may matter in some instances, but like people are telling you you need therapy before you yourself think you need therapy. That's like that's a little that's I don't know. I find that strange. But like Daniel, when you're watching this after, we wish you all the best. We're very sorry for what happened. Like that's like unimaginably hard to deal with. So
Very
we're
fresh.
wishing
Yeah.
you all the best. Yeah. But do you have anything else to say about Daniel?
Not particularly. I think that, yeah, for the most part, like I've kind of said, I think that I'm going to put him as merge boot 11th out of 18. So
I like that.
I think he's going to be very good in challenges pre-merge. This is an MTV Deadly guy. This season is going to be made for him when it comes to these challenges that we got prepared.
Mhm.
It's not as much the case in the pre-merge, but definitely post-merge, where there's a lot that we would have set up if he does make the distance. I personally don't think he will, but if he does, there's going to be a lot of challenges set up where he can do very well in a lot of them. I think that he's going to help his tribe out tremendously. I think that he's going to be very good in these challenges because they are very physical. This guy wrestles. He's very ingrained in MTV Deadly, which MTV Deadly, it's like the only game bigger than ours. It's not even Survivor, So I think right now, like on Instagram, we're pretty much leading with Survivor games. That's also partially because the fandom is dead on a lot of
Ed.
sides. Like we're doing pretty good in that regard. So he's very physical. He looks like he's in good shape. He is a wrestler.
Yeah.
But he is going to subconsciously give off that impression that has a little bit of an ego. I think that that's something that he would have to downturn. We're going to have to see, but we're going to have to see just how empathetic he is as an individual. Because if he's able to be empathetic, he can help his tribe win. He's going to be good in that regard. Merge hits, and people are going to want to keep him around. They're going to want to trust him. I don't know how much they're going to trust him, but he's someone that I think is going to do very well in challenges, given the fact that they're as physical as they are this season. I just think that he might be a little bit too self-absorbed for his liking to be able to make the distance. And he's used to challenge games. I don't know how familiar he is with Survivor games. Is this going to be another, kind of Hunter situation? I mean, you're not very familiar with Hunter, but he's played Conquest twice, second boot both times. Completely overplayed. Like it was a bit wild. Is he going to be that type of person? Is because like in the challenge, your fate is always in your own hands. You can't get voted out. If you can get thrown into elimination and win every single time, it's technically possible. It's not ideal, but it's possible. Social game does matter, but the physical game can always save you. Always, always, always. You never need social game in order to survive, and there's no jury usually. So it's a different atmosphere, and I haven't done my research. I don't know how many Survivor games he's played, so I don't think he's going to win or make it that close to the end. Personally,
I think so either, to be honest. But yeah, about I don't know much about how he plays either. But if he's more of a challenge guy, yeah, he's gonna be good in challenges. But um, yeah, I mean, I like the prediction of Merge Boot. I think I don't know. He just seems like the person that would go around that range. Maybe a little bit after the merge, maybe like a second merge boot, kind of like I don't know. I can see him going on in that range though. That sounds realistic to me.
okay, yeah. Back to the therapy thing too. Like I've for the most part talked about this, but like even me, this is one of the reasons why I've kind of related to this, and it really stood out to me. Like I don't know, did I skim through the application? Because when I read it the second time, I'm like, Daniel LeBoy should 100% be a lock. Even my own parents, they've told me that I need therapy, and it's like we don't have any actual proof of that. So I think that if you're someone that is career oriented, you kind of know where you're going, and if you're going to the gym, and if you have you're ingrained into a lot of social institutions, like you're going to be fine. So it stood out to me, and he said it in a way where it's like people tell him that he needs therapy, but I don't know. He just said it in a way where he's like, no, I think I'm going to be okay. I think I can figure this out myself, and I don't think I'm lost enough where I think I'll be fine. It was just interesting the way how he said it, and he kind of left it up to the imagination. I could always ask in the future to see what he meant. That he literally said, "People tell me I need therapy," and he didn't say that he needed it.
Yeah, it's powerful. I mean, it's not something you hear often, but should we move on to the next person? I
Yeah,
guess we should. All right, next up we have
this is gonna be long.
um
This is gonna be really long. Okay, yeah, let's go.
yeah, we have Kylie, our first female introduced so far, the first female on the Rayo tribe. So Um, I'll
Take
start
it
this
away.
one,
You
I
can go
guess,
first.
because
Yeah.
yeah, I only have a little bit to say about her. Because I'm not gonna lie, like Kylie, even when you're watching this, like I have not heard great things about your Survivor gameplay. Like, I'm gonna be straight up honest. Like, I've never seen you play before. I'm not judging you. I'm not critiquing you. But from what I've heard, your Survivor gameplay is not the best. But who knows? She could come into the Zoom game. She could prove us wrong and go all the way to the end. But I see Kylie going second boot, first boot, something like that. It depends on how her tribe does in the first challenge. But if her tribe loses first, she is a very likely candidate, in my opinion, to go first. But
Oh
I
yeah.
am like
Look at that tribe. Yeah.
I am curious to see how she plays though, because like I want to see if she lives up to our expectations or if she just goes above and beyond and just completely proves us wrong. But I'm gonna be honest, I don't see that happening. But um, she wasn't exactly enthusiastic. It didn't seem like that in her application or anything. Didn't seem like that over DMs or anything. And like I want to touch base on that too, because like that's not something that we like touch on a lot. Like I really do analyze like the way our applicants text, like the way they text us. Like I want to see like typed up texts, like excitement, like all that stuff. Like they're just giving us dry answers, blah blah blah. There's one female on this cast in particular that has like shown lots of excitement. We'll get to her at the very end because she's on the last tribe. But yeah, I don't really have high expectations for Kylie, but I want to hear what you have to say about her because you said you have a lot to say on her. So take it away, buddy.
I don't necessarily have a lot, but it's more so that yeah, like I'm kind of in a similar regard. You kind of said you can tell from my body language. I kind of wanted to say something when you said something specifically, which you basically said like she could prove us wrong. It's like no, she told us that she's not going to prove us wrong. If you go to the application, you scroll all the way to the bottom, which I was talking with
Activity
Brady
level
about
was
this,
low,
and we're
wasn't it?
like, should we maybe just automatically cut her? Like, what are we going to do here? 5 out of 7?
Activity
Who would
level.
have said that?
Yeah.
Thank you for your honesty. We almost cut you for it.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that real quick. So one of the questions we asked on the application was on a scale of 1 to 10, how active do you think you're going to be in this game? So that means how much you're going to show up to the Zoom calls, how often you're going to be social in the game, how often you're going to send votes in. Dude, still messing with his mustache over there. But like, she gave us a 5 to 7 out of 10. That is the lowest we got out of the entire application pool. And you're probably wondering, why the hell is she on the cast? Like
It's a
it
woman.
yeah, and like we had over 9 female applicants, right? But I mean, like the
Yeah,
sad
we cut a
the sad,
couple.
the sad truth was that all the other people just somehow had
Yeah,
worse
I
applications
wanted to
than
talk
that.
about
But
that. Of course, I'm not going to say it the way how I joked about saying it like a few days ago, but yeah, like it's pretty funny to me how like we got a lot of applicants this season, and we're kind of sitting here like, oh, we're doing great, we're getting exactly what we want here. This is amazing, and I'm like, I'm not being glass half empty here. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm actually very grateful that we got the slew of applicants that we got. But it's like, if you're a woman, you've got it made. like you're gonna get passed, and you don't have anything to worry about. Whereas you have these guys, especially the white males, like just grappling at straws because so many of them are applying, and we're casting so few of them to try and make sure that we have an inclusive cast. Which that's a decision that we make. It's not necessarily mandated in any way, shape, or form, but it's something that I believe in. It's something that I think is obviously very important. But when I think diversity, I care more about just making sure that each individual person is very different from one another as opposed to race. But race is also we do factor that in big time, and we're trying to have it be a good even gender divide. But what we care most about is just that each individual person is very different. Well, she's a woman, so it was just less competition. But yeah, it's she took a spot, and I don't
and
think we're gonna sound so bad, like if she makes it far or
I
anything. But
I do want to jump in here though.
I I,
Like
I regret that statement. I'll withdraw that statement. It took a spot. I'm not gonna say that.
no, I do want to jump in. Like I know like we're saying like we cast her because she's a woman, but like we were so set on wanting a 9-9 split. Like we have never had that in our franchise before. Like a lot of people have always criticized us for how many females we had in our cast. That's not our fault. If you want more females to play our game, get females to apply to our game. Like we've never had many females apply to our game. That's been the
Yeah,
issue. This is
Curry.
not our fault. Like, I, yeah, she's the one. She's one of the people that has criticized us a lot. But I mean, like that's partially not our fault. Like, yeah, we could reach out to a lot of women like we did this season. That's why we have so many applicants that are females and so many people on the cast that are females. But people just haven't applied the past few seasons. Like it's that's just how it's been. And I'm really glad that a lot of females applied this season. And like that's the thing. It's really like that is ultimately what it came down to. Like she is a woman. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's
I mean, yeah,
important. Like we wanted
we were
that
just
9-9 split.
yeah. I mean, we were kind of just having fun with it. You know, there did reach a point where we were a little bit more woke, but season like because we hit a point where it's like, okay, we did season 14. Okay, that was fine. We had a few women that season, but season 15, the whole DVD cover was only men, and like people got like they're just so mad about it, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then season 16 was even worse, where Grace was the only woman on the cast. She actually kind of went home relatively early. She got
She
12th
was a
place
good
out of
player
18.
too. Great
Grace is
player
a good
too.
player, yeah. Yeah, she got taken out because Justin made a big move. But yeah,
Mm.
Grace is like she for the most part does very well in games, so she went home that early and then she never played again. Um, but that cast it was literally 17 men and then one woman, and we also at that point in time and it was a really good season, but we were still kind of we were branding ourselves kind of poorly with how we were running the season in terms of just casting it in general because we were doing first come first serve and everything. Whereas after
Ah,
that, we were like prioritizing
God,
it a little bit more. So
can't
season
believe we did that.
17, season 17, we had a lot of women. Season 18, we had a lot of women, and then season 19, we started to struggle again. But it was at that point in time where we're like, okay, we learned our lesson. But like for season 20, this might change actually. For season 35, maybe you might still wait on it a little bit. Season 30, I'm not sure. It might still be a little bit too early, but season 35, I could see a situation where we are doing an even gender divide, even if it's necessarily even if it's counterintuitive. Depends what the theme is, and if it permits it, then maybe we could do it if we have enough women in the pool where it's like it's not going to ruin the season. But for Legends, it would have ruined the season if we did an even gender divide. So we're like, okay, we're just going to cast who we want, and we're just going to figure it out. DMT came after our ass, and it was like, why? Like we're just
We just wanted a
when we did
bloodbath.
that, we wanted a bloodbath. We wanted it to be a good season. So we cast 3 women. And then on top of that, once the season does start, the cast complains because Amina is there. Like Lucas was and Isaiah was like, oh, why is Amina here? And I'm like, we only cast 3 women. Like what do you
Amina
want?
gave us one of the most Amina gave us one of the most iconic moments of the entire franchise history. So it's okay. It's all good.
No, that's 2. That's 2. Get out of here.
That was just the most like, oh my God. I have that on video
About,
still too.
are you talking about the Amina Lucas fight or that? I don't remember.
Both, both. Like we had the fight like in season 15, one of the most iconic moments in the entire like Hub Games history. And then we've got Amina. Like we blatantly explained the rules to that charades challenge, and she breaks 2 of them within the matter of 10 seconds, and costs her tribe the challenge and goes home. Like it's that's got to be like top 5 moments like ever.
And
That's just
the
so fun.
people complaining about how we didn't have enough women on Legends were women. I think 85% of them, and most of them did not play. Yeah, and I think we asked a few of them too. So yeah.
All right, we're getting carried away here. Okay, enough said. Let's move on to the next person.
Did we talk about them enough? That who was it? Was it Kylie? Okay, I mean, I don't know if I was going to
yeah,
say anything necessarily.
I think it's good.
I I don't know. I mean, I think we did get carried away because I didn't really say anything that was actually in the application. I'll just talk for like a minute and a half, maybe. But yeah, I mean, Kylie said that she applied just because the host invited. Yeah, she wasn't like super enthusiastic either. Um, let's see here. Significant challenge being gay in Alabama. somewhere with lots of hate crimes. Yeah, probably conservative area. Okay, give us one example of a time where you had to rely on teamwork. As a lifeguard, teamwork is kind of my whole job. If we're having to do CPR, it's not just one of us. That kind of forces us to keep a strong trust in each other. Yes. Yeah, her answers were a bit short for the most part. Yeah, we can move on.
So we are at person 5 out of 18 people so far, but that's okay. I like how much we're
You can
talking.
set the
So
pace because, like, I'm willing to stay here. I'm it's fine. It's you can kind of just, yeah.
you're good. So, second female on this tribe, we have Nikki. I want to start. I want to start this off because this is by far like the funniest like like this is like the way we casted her was the funniest thing ever. So we end up on Matthew Campbell's Instagram live. He is there in a joking manner, like canceling our franchise, right? There's 3 viewers, 2 of them being us, and then Nikki hops into the live, so confused. What is this? And then we're in the comment section of the live or whatever. Minutes after we leave the live, we get a message from Nikki asking to apply. And Matthew Campbell's whole point of the live was to prevent people from applying to our game. And the one person that's in there applies to our game. Like, that's the funniest fucking shit I've ever seen, bro. Like, and she ends up on the
Didn't
cast.
say
Like,
anything. He hopped on. He was just trying to be part of the drama. He makes a TikTok and it just kind of basically says like, "Oh, they only cast 5 POCs and they always go home pre-merge." And then he hops on the live and says, "Oh, fuck the hub." He was like lying down
this
like
hub.
this.
Oh,
Fuck the hub.
fuck this hub. Oh, fuck this hub. That song's so catchy.
Fuck this race. Got to do with that game.
It's a bop. Thank you, Celestial Survivor. We love it. We love it. Okay. Well, let's talk about Nikki. So, I'll let you carry away because this has got to be like the funniest like casting or whatever you want to call it. This is just a joke. Like, take us away. Like, I want to hear what you have to say about her.
Yeah, well, just based off of that, Nikki's my home girl. I mean, it's just the funniest reason why anyone's ever applied. I mean, yeah, like with the way that Matthew Campbell was also partially joking, but he kind of set it up in a way where I think that Nikki just subconsciously could kind of tell that her game was probably really big. And I think anyone with actually a brain can realize that all the cancellation and everything that I was dealing with, Brady was not involved in it. Like, it was mostly me. It was, yeah. So it doesn't really have to do with what I said as much as it just has to do with how big of a franchise we are. So I think most people with a head on their shoulders can kind of understand that.
Probably both.
But yeah, so yeah, it was funny that she applied based off of that. But yeah, a little bit about what she said here. For her occupation, she said cartoonist, which we obviously know probably isn't true. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, it is possible maybe that she makes some money off of this while she's a student. I think she just kind of said that as a fun answer, but she didn't elaborate on it. So that could mean literally anything. She did say it in the application. She applied because we trolled Baba and she thought it was funny. So yeah, she said that and she was advert about that. That was her reason. A little bit more about her. She wants to stop homelessness. So she works on behalf of a charity that runs that. That's wonderful. And she probably dedicates a lot of time to that. You know, with me personally, I do donate to charity, but I don't participate in charity. So I give maybe like 4% of the money I make to charity. There's a few that I've given it to, like World Food Program. I've given it to them. But I've never like participated in charity in any way, shape, or form, you know? So it's different. I think that it's more spiritually uplifted. It is more time consuming. So, yeah, it's wonderful that she's doing that. So yeah, she's transgender, and was bullied in Chicago. I don't know. We might change the rhetoric in the future, but I think we should probably tell people that like everything that they write in the application is going to be publicized. Because I don't want to because it's confidential information coming to us, but I don't think they realize that we're posting anything. So anyway, because we've been very open about what these people have said, but I don't know how comfortable they are with two people knowing information versus everybody. But
Yeah, we can ask them before we post this because I can like bleep certain things we say out if they're not comfortable with it. But carry on.
Your favorite player of all time is Steven Hubicki. Got the name wrong. What else here? This really made her my home girl. Who do I not like? She doesn't get along with inactives.
Absolute legend right there. That's like season 30 lock.
Yeah. Inactives are cunts and I hate talking to them. Yeah. Because when they're inactive, you DM them and they don't respond.
That's what happened with like half of the people we cut too. So whatever.
Yeah. That's it. That's all I have.
Okay.
Oh, and
right.
I think she'll do well. I think she's gonna be out long for the game.
All right. Last person on the Rayo
Like
tribe.
Fallen Angel, yeah.
I can see that, yeah. But last person on this tribe, we have Shane. This was kind of like a last ditch castaway here. We at one point like we had her off the cast and then we ended up adding her to the cast. So I'm not gonna lie, she seemed a little bit ecstatic. It was kind of like average. Like she wasn't like incredibly excited, but she wasn't like, oh, like I want to play this game because y'all told me to, you know? Like I am excited to see how Shane does because I like everyone else on this cast, like I have no idea who Shane is. I've never seen this person like before any of this. So I don't really have much to say on Shane. I don't know how she's gonna do, but I'm curious to see where you have her like in your predictions or whatever. And what you have to say, of course, because I haven't reviewed her application. Like I'm sure I have, but
it was
like,
I haven't
reviewed
written
all
any
of them.
notes, so I'm just gonna do some little bit of scrolling here. But yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I don't think she's gonna make it that far.
Mhm.
But I don't want to make assumptions of her personality. She's one of the biggest question marks on this cast. Like in terms of just, I kind of just put her low on predictions because I don't know what to expect from her. I don't know her at all.
Yeah, this is one of the people I'm really excited to see.
I don't know like if she's gonna have a good social game or not. And I was kind of like leaning towards assuming it wouldn't be that good, but I can't assume anything. The season hasn't started. So anyway, her application, it wasn't, I don't think it was the best, at least from what I remember. Could be wrong. Okay, what do we got here? All right, what is your occupational status? Full-time. That's what she said. Full-time. Well, at least it's not part-time. All right.
I don't know why I found that so funny.
What motivated you to apply for this game? I was asked by production, smiley face. You know, she put the smiley face, you know, at least she was honest there. What is your biggest personal achievement? Oh, she's doing it again here. This is something we complained about loads. Like, there's vague as hell. Like, finally having the career I've always wanted. Shane is lucky to get on the cast for this, okay? If you're answering these questions, please be specific. Finally having the career.
That's why she was a last ditch.
Yeah, that's true. We originally cut her. That's right. Yeah. I feel like we've said that about half the people. Like, that's no joke. Like, only half of this cast were locks, whereas the other half, we were contemplating whether to cast them or not. Like, it wasn't, like, it genuinely, 9 of them were locks and 9 of them weren't. And that's
this whole line right here is every single person that we cut from this cast. This is about 20 something people. And then these are like all the dropouts right here. But this is a ton of people that we just cut, right? Like that, like this was no joke. Like we cut a lot of people. Like I think we literally could have made 2 casts. Like that's how many applicants we had. And it's crazy because like you said, like half of this cast was not locked. Like we really had to like go through their applications. Like this took us like a solid hour and a half to like decide the cast. Like we really wanted to make sure we had the right people. So yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what else we got here. Okay, describe a time where you had to overcome a significant challenge. Health concerns with close family members. It's a little bit more forgivable because there's a little more confidentiality there, but she's still vague. I mean, for the most part, she's very, very vague with his answers. Yeah, I mean, I think that making this cast assessment all about using Shane as a guinea pig to make for other people in the future to make better applications is kind of lame. It's just kind of a way to add insult to injury, considering I have her as third boot. but okay, I don't know if there's anything else specifically that I wanted to say.
I'm just really excited to get to the next person.
I don't know if she did it again here. Give us one example of a time where you had to rely on teamwork. With my job every day, working with others to make sure patients are taken care of properly. Okay, you're a little bit more specific when you say patients, but very vague. And I don't think that she ever elaborated. Okay, she says I'm naturally a social butterfly. I'll take a word for it. So me just talking to everyone going in will definitely benefit me. So, okay, she might be extroverted. But again, like there was no real proof of me until I read that. But like, is she introverted? Is she extroverted? I don't know what personality we're going to get from her. I don't know her at all. Okay, our favorite CBS Survivor contestant is Michaela. I love her too. One of the realest to ever play, one of the most entertaining. She says she's a relatively caring individual, so maybe she'll be more empathetic than I had originally claimed. And that's something that I kind of talked to Brady about before this. I was like, how well do we realistically know these people when we could do a full-blown cast assessment? Because it could result in us saying the wrong things and saying something that we can kind of regret later. So I don't know. Brady and I are trying to be as authentic as we can making this, but we can't make claims on people that we don't know fully. So we tried our best with the forms, but we need to be careful here because we don't want to say anything that we're going to regret because it's just wrong. And we will end up looking really stupid afterwards if we say anything super confidently wrong, then it's not going to bode well. That's all I have about Shane.
Perfect. Well, that's one tribe down. So yeah, we have the next tribe, Kiwi tribe. So this is our second tribe, the blue tribe. The first person on this list, I am so excited to see. So excited to talk about. We have Kyle Hent, who is your winner pick, I believe. He's going to be mine too, for sure. So I'll start us off here. So Kyle is without a doubt, like I said, or like I say about everyone else here, no clue who he is, right? But I'm so damn excited to watch this kid play because his application was unique, right? He made a 27-minute long video, posted it to YouTube just for us two to watch, answered every question on the application with his own voice. And Jonah and I both watched it, the whole thing, and it was great. I mean, like he got a little carried away sometimes, like with other things, but that's what we love, right? Like a 27-minute video explaining your application. That's great. It's what we love, right? Like that was just an automatic lock for me. But like I was still curious to see like what he said to and his answers weren't bad. They weren't bad either. Like he does rowing. That's pretty good. That's a lot of strength, right? And that's why I think he'll do very good in the challenges because rowing is probably one of those sports that requires the most strength out of anything, right? Like constantly moving those paddles everywhere. So I think that'll help him massively in a lot of the challenges that we have planned. But without a doubt, my winner pick. I'm really excited. He won a game. I forgot which one it was. What was it? Do you know what it was?
He's won more than one, brother. He's won more than one.
It was
like 10 games and he has like a 1-3 win streak in like big games. It's pretty crazy. So Survivor.Adventure is the main one. That's like the big game.
That's it. That's the one I was trying to remember.
Super player, from what I've heard. Almost to the point, though, we're going to know him. There's going to be people that are going to know him, and that might be a problem. That's his only problem. He doesn't have anything else to worry about. First off, he's going to be way too chill for everybody. He's not going to get targeted by anybody. They're all going to underestimate him. He's never going to be the biggest physical threat. There's always going to be one or two people ahead of him that are just going to be better in challenges. They're all going to underestimate the hell out of him. He's going to do what he always does. He's not going to be in any trouble whatsoever until like final 6. And then people are going to realize that he's a big threat. And by then, it's going to be too late. That's what's going to happen. I can pretty much guarantee it. The dude's making final 6. I'd be shocked if the dude didn't make it to at least 5. And I think he has the best chance of winning if I'm actually looking at this cast. Yeah, it is a bit of a hindrance for people to know him. But if he takes the right people far in the game, maybe he'll take enough people far where he's going far in the game, really far with people who don't know him, and then treating the people that do know him in kind of an expendable light where the other people would rather vote them out than him. So that's kind of how I see it with Kyle. I just think that in general, he's a very good player. And I think that he's one of the people on this cast that I am he's really the only person that I'm like, okay, for sure, finale night.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting, I don't have a ton to say about him though, because
his application was on the video.
I don't have notes on him, and it's also all on video. So I actually don't have much to say. And like what I will say is, yeah, he did get a little bit carried away at times. He's not the best speaker in the world. But we got that unique application that we didn't get from anybody else. And he basically like took advantage of he thought he would do better that way. And we permitted it. Anyone else could have done it. But I don't, it's also possible that other people would have maybe would have capitalized on that luxury if they knew that it was presented to them. I don't know if other players in the future want to try and do that, they can do it. I don't have a ton else to say about him. I think he's going to knock it out of the ballpark.
Yeah. I mean, that's without a doubt my winner pick. I mean, I haven't even made my predictions yet either. That's the thing. But yeah, automatic winner pick. And the next person I want to jump right into this because I'm curious to talk about this person as well. We have Carvin. So this guy was not originally on the cast, right? We had Cosmo on the cast before. And I'm really glad we sent out messages like asking if they accepted their spot or not, because Cosmo did not, said he wouldn't have time for the game anymore. So we had 4 alternates, right? We picked 4 people that we didn't cast, but we also didn't cut.
Please.
Yeah, not saying the names. But I will say Carvin was one of them, obviously, because he's on the cast now. So this was like a last-ditch castaway decision. But I am excited to see Carvin play. Like I haven't heard much about him, but I know he's played a few games. Yeah, another person I don't know as expected, but I think Carvin will do fairly well. He's either going to, I think he'll be like around 3rd, 4th merge boot, or he could just be like the final pre-merge boot, like that, like that's kind of where I see Carvin here. But I have heard a few good things about him from some people that know who he is. But like, see, it's just so hard to assess these people, right? Because like I know nothing about them. Like if this was like a season 25 cast assessment, oh my God, I would be talking for hours. But yeah, I'll hand it over to you for this one.
Yeah, so I mean, I would disagree with you, but you made a very broad statement where you kind of just stretched out your expectations of him, where I can't really say I disagree with you, but I disagree with you. I think Carvin is going to be one of the worst players on the season. He's not, there was a reason why we cut him initially. He's not that good at the game. Like I am familiar with him. He played Conquest. He's not good at the game. He is young. I think he's like 15. He's really young. He is someone that is going to need a few years to eventually hit a point where he can be a good player. Just complete game bot. I mean, I'm going to read through this a little bit. Okay, so he said the reason why he applied. I got a DM about the game and it was interesting. Yeah, you bet your ass for interesting. Okay. And then he says, like, okay, let's go through this. So the final 14 scenario question of like, hey, if you're left out of 2 votes and you lose again, no tribe spot saved you, what would you do? He says, let's pray I have an idol. Like, this is why we cut you, bro. Like, you don't have an idol. That's the whole point of it. You might have shot in the dark, but you don't have an idol. So if you have shot in the dark, you can say, hey, just play that. It's not the best answer, but it's still a good answer. You don't have an idol. We don't need to tell you that. And we could have said that in the question, but we didn't because it was obvious. And he says, let's pray I have an idol. It's like, bro, you got to fight harder than that. You got to tell me more that you do is try and survive. He also says that one of my good traits is that I have good reads on people. You didn't back it with anything. You didn't. Why do you have good reads on people? Tell me a scenario that proves that. He says he doesn't like idiots. Okay, that's a bit better there. Who try and work with him after it. And then he says that he doesn't like idiots who try and work with him after backstabbing him. It's like, okay, well, what's your other option? You're just trying to play both sides. And he calls them an idiot just because they left him out of a vote. You're on the bottom now, and they backstabbed you and left you out of a vote. And you're calling them idiots for trying to work with you again? You're not playing your angles properly. I think he's going to be sociopathic. I think that he's not going to play a good social game. And I think that he's going to fall on his face. And I think he's going to burn out and not fade away. He's not going to fade away. I think he's going to be active, and he's going to be one of those just complete train wrecks. Kind of like Kaz. A little bit like Kaz. Where Kaz is active, does care, and then just completely overplays their hand. So I think it's going to be very similar with Carvin here. And then he says, we asked how important honesty was in the game of Survivor. The whole point of the game is backstab. That's what he said. Didn't elaborate anything else, which period, that was it. The whole point of the game is backstab. He's going to be sociopathic in the game. I think he was that way when he played in Conquest. I think it's going to be very similar this time. Not long for the game. It's going to be a train wreck, and it's going to be awesome to watch. 13th out of 18. 6th boot.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. A last pre-merge boot or whatever, or a mid jury member. I don't know, but
he's not going to make it that far.
I don't know.
No,
we'll see. Maybe he can be like Kylie, and we can see if he'll prove us wrong. But whatever, we'll move on to the next person. This is going to be the last one of the night because 12:47 in the morning. It's pretty fucking late. So
you're just going to combine the two. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, this is the 9th person, so we're halfway through. So we'll just knock out the other 9 another night. But this next person, the final guy on the Kiwi tribe, I know you have a lot to say about this person, but we have Christian, an IRL of the one and only Raul Aguilar. Dude, I've got no idea what to expect of this kid. Raul literally told us, he told us not to cast Christian. He was pleading to us that we shouldn't cast Christian. But guess what? We fucking did. That wasn't stopping us. And I'm sure Jonah will cover on this as soon as I'm finished, but he had a conversation with Raul, a deep conversation, about Christian, because Raul wants to make sure he can tell Christian to be active in this game and try his hardest. But see, I'm not even going to say anything else because I want to hand it over to Jonah because he told me a while ago that he was curious to talk about Christian. So let's hear it.
I am, because the conversation that I had with Raul was both weird but also absolutely hilarious because it's Raul.
As a matter.
But this application was amazing. We are casting Christian just because we think it's funny. But I do think that the people, maybe the people who are cut are going to be a little annoyed that this guy took their place. But we thought it was really funny. And I think Brady and I both subconsciously understood that Christian, probably we shouldn't have cast him, but we both agreed that it was really funny to cast him. We're like, oh god, we have to do this. So I'm going to read through this application. Okay, so Christian Sarita, he's from Las Vegas, Nevada. I thought he was from LA. Because I know Raul's from California, so they're from different states. It's interesting. He has an interesting job though. It says here right now, fire photographer. I do believe from reading through a little bit more, he is also a firefighter in training. I think that's probably what he is. He's really young. So I've seen
his Instagram story too. He posts a lot of firefighter stuff. So,
and he says that he has experience with it. So I'm like, okay, maybe he's a firefighter in training. He's already gone through that situation. Okay, what motivated you to apply? I decided to apply after Raul talked too highly of it. So Raul gassed the game up, and that's why you applied. Like that is wild. That is the best answer, I mean, ever. Like, Brady, do you agree? Like, is there any answer that anyone could possibly give to what
Can't be
motivated you to
topped.
apply? Then
Never
Raul
topped.
told me to, because Raul loves this game. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
See, and that's something I never thought I would hear. An application because of Raul. Like,
Yeah, that's top of the heap.
it's
Can't
unreal.
be beat.
Unreal.
Okay, so yeah, 3 words to describe me: funny, smart, leader. It's good. Graduated from the
Leader's
Long
good.
Beach Fire Department's youth program. I mean, for all intents and purposes, like we kind of understood that like we maybe shouldn't cast him A because we weren't sure if he was going to be active or not. But also B, zero understanding of the game of Survivor. I mean, he knows nothing. So it's more so it's also like it's also just a question of how much does Raul inform. So we're putting a lot of faith in Raul right now. And I think that the funniest part of this exchange with Raul was so funny. Like he's almost stressed. He's stressed. He feels like we're putting like stress on his shoulders, and like it's not supposed to be that way. Okay. Describe a time where you had to overcome a significant challenge. Like, yeah, he's gone through a lot here. So when I was on scene of a vehicle fire and I made the choice to look inside the car, even though I wasn't supposed to do so, to confirm that nothing else was in the car. So I guess it was lit on fire, and then I guess it might have been just completely engulfed in flames. And I don't know if he got injured doing that.
That's pretty badass. That's pretty badass, though. Can't lie.
Yeah.
Very risky.
Okay, this was sorry. How do you handle conflict with others? Extremely well. That's all he says. Extremely well.
Funniest answer.
Yeah, it's good. What would be your strategy going into the game? Try and build relationships early on, but also still have secret items to save myself. He's got his bag of tricks. Tony Block, I respect it. Works, baby. He's gonna have secret items. We should have done the fire token store and pot this season. You can buy all of them. Okay. Give us one example of a time you had to rely on teamwork during a training exercise where we had to remove a victim from a collapsed structure. So yeah, this is the real deal. He's I don't know how old he is or how long he's done this for, but fast linking, fast leadership, overthinking, betrayal.
That's a thing we forgot to ask too. Like we realized that like midway through the applications, we forgot to ask for everyone's age. Not like it really matters or anything. Like that's not something like we'll really take into consideration, but we did forget to ask that. So we have no idea how old Christian is.
It's something that I'm curious about. But age kind of is just a number in the sense that it depends who you are. Sometimes I want to know their age because it's different with someone like Curtis. You're going to ask, and then for someone like LB, it matters because with someone like LB, it's like LB. This is maybe a hot take. He'd be nowhere near as controversial if he was 16 years old. Maybe he'd still be canceled. But it would be a little different. Him being 28, it's a bigger difference. Who is your favorite CBS Survivor contestant and why? I haven't watched Survivor. And then okay, what is your most underestimated quality? Honestly, I have no idea. Yeah, and he says he's going to be a 10 out of 10 in activity, so hopefully he understands how the game works and he actually shows up. But yeah, it's not really mainly what I was looking into. I think that Christian, I don't know. Christian could be, though. He doesn't necessarily need to know the game super well. It is possible maybe that he'll always show up and he actually will sort of understand the game and be more charismatic than we maybe are thinking at first glance. So I think we're kind of thinking, oh, like he's not going to last because he doesn't know the game and the social game might be bad. But we don't actually know that for sure. He might be more charismatic than we're initially assuming. But yeah, we're going to get to the conversation with Raul here. All right. I'm going to throw all the way up. I'm just going to read it. Like, I'm not going to make comments on anything. Okay, so I DM'd them in a public chat. Okay, so that there's a guy that applied that apparently he's here IRL or whatever. I was reaching out about that. I would try and also did he applied? And then I sent him the app, and then he says, I didn't know he applied. Well, he did. Lol. Shit, when? Ha ha ha. Early, like right when it opened. He was one of our very first applicants, which is true. What I didn't tell him. okay, well, he wants to play. Do you think you can keep him in gear and make sure that he is attending the meetings? How can I keep him in gear and help him studies for the game? Since I want out pre-merge 3 times, but I make sure he attending the meetings. But please tell me you joking, right? No. I simply just want you to constantly make sure when you're around him that you are reminding him to attend the meetings. That's all. This is not a joke. He actually applied.
This sounds like Raul to me.
I would, but if he got in right. Yeah, only if he gets in. But right now, we are actually leaning towards casting him. Yeah, why? Because I thought you two would want players who at least watch Survivor. Well, we're pretty sure we are going to cast him, Raul. We think having someone on who hasn't watched Survivor will fuck the game up, and we think that they'll mess up the game. Okay,
Hell yeah.
He been my friend since middle school, but how you know him, I are so close. Also, nothing. How come you didn't tell me earlier? Because I thought you knew that he applied. He's your friend. He mentioned you in the application. He said something along the lines of Raul used to really gas your game up, so he decided to apply. I didn't thought he wouldn't actually applied. Well, he did, and guess what? We want to cast him. I wonder what Brady thought of this.
I didn't even know.
Yeah,
I didn't even know much of it at the time.
Yeah, Brady's hearing this for the first time. All right, he's intrigued. He thinks your friend has the potential to fuck the game up because he doesn't know the show all that well. Fair, but I think you guys should think logically about this as well. Why don't you try to make sure he's active, though? I don't get it. We are thinking logically. It's not the activity part. It's the not knowing the show part. Let me ask you, don't you think it would be a little funny casting someone who doesn't know the show? Like, people who don't know the show never apply. Christian did, but why are you bad mouthing your friends? As I said to him after that. You should DM him and encourage him to slay per eat it up, period. Why aren't you doing that? Am I right or am I right? And then he says, okay, I would, but don't ever says I badmouth a friend for 5 years. I don't appreciate that. And you have no right to say that, dude. But he's a good player. He's a good Survivor player. He needs the Raul encouragement. I was sort of being sarcastic, Raul. I think you had a hard time distinguishing that through text. I just don't understand why when I told you he's on the cast, you tried talking us out of it. He's your IRL. So I was just reaching out to see if you'd be cool making sure he'd be active and just dedicated, but it kind of sounds to me like you don't even want us to cast him. We would like to personally, but how would you feel about
guess
that?
What? We guess what? We're casting.
Yeah, it's reality. Okay, yes, I want to cast him, but to be cool. And I've been having conflict thoughts of he should play It Be Dope, and I don't know. He haven't heard the show that much. Okay, it harder on me since he my friend. But ever having a talk with him, he should join, and I do my best to make him do well. Thanks, Raul. Micro him talking to people, macro him actually showing up. Very, very important that he is showing up to the calls. Okay, but he told me he hasn't have high hope and he would ended up joining the season. I just asked him and he says probably. Okay. Are you okay with this, Raul? Us casting him? It your decision. Okay, well, we want to cast him. It feels like you two, the hosts of the franchise, are trying to make the decision for you two. Okay, we are making the decision for Christian because he is a behemoth and will slay the game, right, Raul? I hope so. I mean, I haven't done well, so I hope he does. Well, he was shocked he got in. Well, he did. Well, I hope he does well. Yeah, that's it.
I mean, I'm honestly curious because, it was a similar situation with Milo. I remember season 11, I spent about an hour before the season started explaining to Milo how Survivor games worked. And now he's gone on to win season 15, win Conquest, participate in all-star seasons all over the place. So now he's very well integrated into the fandom. And who knows? Maybe Christian will end up like that. We did. But I am curious to see how Christian plays because obviously a non-Survivor viewer, that's concerning to say the least. But I mean, he could always prove us wrong. You never know.
Yeah,
Um,
I think people might get it a little twisted. They might think survivor knowledge is maybe why I'm saying this. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm right. I don't think Christian will last. I have him as second boot. I still think Kylie has a stronger chance of flopping as a whole and being the first one to go. But Christian, it's like the only thing maybe going for him is that his tribe might just win. I don't think he's going to have a good social game. I don't think he can fit in with this cast. And coupled with the fact that he's not even a survivor fan, it's like, how much will he care? He might always show up, but I don't know how much he's going to care. So I'm relatively low on him.
that's fair. Well, that's going to be the last person we do for the night. We'll knock out the other 9 on another Zoom call. I think that will be a lot more detailed because there's a lot of good players on the next 9 that I want to talk about. But we're halfway through the Kiwi tribe now, and then we'll finish the next half and then do the Taimatsu tribe as well. So I'm going to just end it very abruptly so I can combine the two into one big thing.